episode of Meet a Cappella. I am Napa and we have
Alfredo.
and today we have a very special guest who probably needs no introduction in the a cappella world. He is known as the father of the contemporary a cappella, and he is a true pioneer and an inspiration for many. And you may know him for being the musical director of the Pitch Perfect movies. Of course, I am talking about, let's say it together,
Deke
Deke Sharon!
Hello, everybody. Hello. Buenos dias. It is a pleasure to be here, and I am so honored to be a part of Vocal Latinoamericano and to be on your podcast today. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
We are very excited to have you. And we're going to start from the beginning, okay? We want to
Okay.
know, how did you start in the world of a cappella? Like, was there a particular moment or influence that led you to choose this path?
I started singing before I could talk. In fact, I would sing myself to sleep and make up songs before I could talk and bounce my head on my pillow. And my mother and father were worried I gave myself brain damage, which maybe I did. And then when I was 5 years old, my mom put me in the church choir. When I was 7 years old, my mom put me in the San Francisco Boys Chorus. And I did every single chorus, every single singing group, every single musical ever since. And I just loved vocal harmony. And when I heard college a cappella in high school, I fell in love and then did college a cappella. And when I was in the Tufts Beelzebubs, started to experiment with vocal percussion and vocal instrument sounds and taking 4-part arrangements and making them 12 parts and trying to make them sound like modern recordings. And then when I did this, people started calling me, and I was making enough money to make a career of a cappella when I graduated. And I started the Contemporary A Cappella Society of America in my dorm room and a newsletter. And I just told everybody, I'm going to make a life of this new kind of a cappella. And everybody laughed at me. But here we are. It worked out.
It's very interesting when you have a goal and you tell people that you're going to make it, and they say, "No, you're not." And they start laughing at you because they find it impossible. It's like they don't want you to success. So they are telling you not to do it so that you don't do it as well. And well, you both stay in the same thing. But the thing is that you need to do what you did. You decided, you made up your mind, and there you are. And
It worked out. And maybe it wouldn't work out, but it did work out. So that's beautiful.
yeah, totally. And I guess you had maybe an inspiration of like an artist or a group that inspired you when you started your career.
Oh,
How their style like influenced you?
many. There was a local a cappella group called the Bobs, which only ended a few years ago. And they were strange and quirky and wrote original music and used voices in unusual ways. And they were amazing and also funny. Also, the group The Nylons from Canada, their recordings had a big impact on me. And then groups like Take Six, hearing the rich jazz harmonies. There were so many ensembles, so many a cappella groups. In fact, college a cappella groups. I got every single a cappella recording that I could possibly find and listen to it. In fact, in the Pitch Perfect movies, the really nerdy character Benji, played by Ben Platt, is based on me. I was collecting a cappella albums and studying them when I was in high school. So when I went and auditioned for my college a cappella group, they were like, he's too into it. He's overzealous. Like, it didn't matter that I was very good musically. They were like, he's a little too weird about this. So I had to audition 3 times.
Wow, that's very amazing, the story that you're telling us. Also, you already told us that since you were little, uh, you knew that you wanted this. You've been doing music since you were a baby, banging your
Yes.
head. And we also want to know, because for me, I don't know if for Navarre, a cappella, it's a world. And I see that it's very difficult. All of the voices that you have to create to make it sound great as you do. We want to know, how is the process for you to make the a cappella arrangements?
Oh, okay. So, in my first book, A Cappella Arranging, here we go. In this book, I have a 10-step method where you make the big choices and each step becomes more and more specific. So you don't have to just think about, what do I do with the tenors in measure one? Like you answer big questions first. And I have this all written out as an essay, and I will very happily send it to you so you can share it with all of your listeners for free. And this method, I think, makes it very, very easy for first time people who want to arrange to learn how to do it.
Oh, that's very amazing. Thank you also for that information.
Yeah, you mentioned something about the Pitch Perfect movies. I just want to take this time to share some of my thoughts of the movie. I think this movie is very, very educative in a certain way because in the first part of the movie they were talking about. Okay, it shows first of all it shows the teamwork. I remember in the part where Bella decided to leave the cappella group, the Bella's group where they were. Um, then they started rehearsing without her. It was a mess. It was a mess. And when she came back, everything started to how do you say fluid? Fluid in English?
Flow.
Flow.
Fluid. Yes, flow. It started to flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fluid. I'm speaking
It's okay.
Spanish
It's
here.
okay.
So yes, it shows teamwork, and also it shows. I remember in a part where one of the girls said she had notes. I mean, most of the singers, newbies that are starting their artistical career, most of them don't know the consequences or what are notes. And by watching this movie, they will learn.
Okay,
and they will
well,
educate
wait, I have to
themselves. And
stop
I
you
feel
because I want everybody to know, if you get nodes, you don't drop your voice 2 octaves. That does not happen. That was a silly thing for the movie. If you get nodes, you have to stop singing, stop talking, sometimes get surgery. So it's a bad thing. It is not a good thing, and you will not start talking down here. But everything else about the movie, we tried very much to make it both very funny and true. I think around the world right now, there's a lot of interest and education around the concept of diversity. Why is it valuable to have different people come together to make something? And I think the Pitch Perfect movies show you that. They don't tell you, they show you. You need high voices, low voices. You need, quiet people, loud people. You need rock singers, and you need rappers, and you need choral people, and all of these different personalities and voices come together to create something that's much stronger and much better than if every single person were the same. And that's something I've always felt about a cappella and all of the groups that I've created. When I started the House Jacks, when I started Vocalosity and De Cappella and Voasis, and when I help other people start groups, I tell them, take the best singers and get as much variety as you can. You can teach them to blend, but if you get everybody who already blends and their voices are similar, then when you start going with your group, you're going to wish you had so many more colors to paint with, right? Pick every color under the rainbow and learn how to use them together beautifully.
totally, that's true. So tell us about your experience working on the Pitch Perfect movies. What impact do you think these movies had on the popularity of
Oh, I
acapella
think
music?
they were probably the single biggest and largest international influence to explain to the world and make them fall in love with what we call contemporary a cappella. Making the movie was very difficult. 9 of the 10 Bard and Bellas had never done a cappella. They had never even really been in choir before. And so the problem is that I had to teach them during a cappella boot camp how to do a cappella in a very short period of time and build that blend. And it was very, very like heartbreaking for me because I thought the movie was going to be terrible. It would never work. But somehow at the last minute, it came together, and that is what everybody sees. And my whole life's work has been to spread harmony through harmony, to get more people singing, and to have more people realize how wonderful it is to be in a singing group with other people, regardless of your age, regardless of your background, regardless of the style of music. And I think this movie shows that. When I was in English class as a student, they said, show, don't tell. Don't tell people diversity is good, show them. Don't tell people that a cappella is good, show them. And this movie shows that.
That's how they say action speaks louder than words.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes.
No, this is totally beautiful what you have told us. And You told us already that, well, you kind of have trouble because the people that were in the movie, they weren't in a choir, never in their life. So I mean, it's harder for them, for you to teach them everything for it to sound good. And we want to know a little bit about what is the biggest challenge that you have in your career, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the biggest challenge was that when I started doing all of this, everybody laughed at me in my face or behind my back, but they thought this little kind of a cappella, this new style of a cappella where you use your mouth as drums and things, it was like, that's kind of funny, but and kind of cute, but it's not a real thing that anybody would spend time doing. In fact, my high school choral director told everybody it's like Deke is trying to make a career out of professional tiddlywinks. Now, do you know tiddlywinks? It's a little kids game where you take a little plastic disc and you put another one, you make it flip. It's like a child's game that's meaningless. And he was a choral teacher and director, and he knew classical music and jazz, but he thought this new thing I'm doing was silly and meaningless and that it could never be big. So the biggest challenge I had, both from musicians and from the general public, is the general public had no idea what it was, and the musicians thought it was stupid and silly and meaningless. So I had to spend about 20 years slowly showing people, how do you use your voice as instruments? How do you arrange for this new style of music? Look at how it allows you to do any song on the radio. Before that, everything sounded kind of doo-wop and finger snappy, and it didn't have all these layers. And then eventually, slowly, we went from 200 college a cappella groups to 3,000. High school groups started doing it, middle school groups started doing it, professional groups started getting bigger, and then we got to make the sing-off in America, in the US, and in 3 other countries in different continents. And then Glee had an a cappella group, and then the Pitch Perfect movie. And by that point, we figured it all out, and everybody started to see what it was and love it. So it was building up to that point that made it really so hard. And I know it was very difficult during COVID for so many people because they couldn't get together and sing. And many people in the a cappella world have been frustrated that, there's been some downslide, but it's so much better than it was before people knew what a cappella was. So I tell everybody, don't worry. Everybody knows what it is, and people are coming back to singing now, which they are.
I really love this story because you did not stop. You continued and you show everybody what you're capable of. And I love it because it's a very good advice for young people to continue to chase their dreams and what they can achieve. Also, you already talked about the instruments that you can make with your mouth. I want to know, how many do you do? I saw a video of you like doing a trumpet and I was amazed by it. How many do you
Oh
know?
boy. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll do a bunch quickly, and I don't even know how many. I'm not a great vocal percussionist, but the kick and the snare or and the hi hat crash. I mean, imagine the drums, conga, and talking drum, and shakers. Okay, but forget all the drums. Now instruments, regular trumpet, trombone, muted trumpet, flute, harmonica, plucked violins, and that can also be string bass. What else? The theremin, which sounds kind of like a kazoo, and electric guitar, and lots of other ones, but they're kind of like that.
Wow, man, it really sounds like the actual instrument. Like, I'm so amazed by it. It's amazing what you do. It's amazing.
It's fun, and I love to teach it. I love to teach it to students. One time I was working with students in Germany, and I look German, but I don't speak German. And these are fourth graders, right? So they're all about 10 years old, and they don't speak English. And I have to teach a whole classroom of them how to make these instrument sounds without language, just showing. It was crazy. But then that night at the concert, all their parents got to see us do it together. It was really fun.
That is very beautiful.
Totally, totally.
Let me try to do one.
I can even try.
You will, you will.
I can even
I
try.
will come to you and I will teach you all of these sounds. I also have YouTube channel where all of the sounds are. It's like slash Deke Sharon.
Do you have like vocal exercises you do for this specific vocal professions?
Not specific exercises, but this is what I will recommend. When you're driving, when you hear music, don't sing with the melody. Sing with the harmonies. And once you sing with the harmonies and you're good at it, make up harmonies that go with the harmonies but are different. Like if you hear Simon and Garfunkel or you hear two-part harmony, make up a third harmony that's different, that fits. Then sing along with the drums, copy the drums. And sing along with the guitar solo, sing along with the bass line, sing along with the guitar in the background. Start to copy these different instruments, and it won't feel like it's an exercise. It won't feel like work or like doing scales on the piano. It'll just feel fun. And what you will start to do is realize that our voices are so capable of millions of sounds. If you look at the history of music, people have sung the words and sometimes in a choir, ooh and ah, and made all of these instruments make all the other sounds. But we're like parrots. We have the ability to sound like trucks and boats and rain and avalanches and thunder and bugs and birds and a million things. And we just don't. So once we figure out how to do that, not only can you sound like instruments, you can make up sounds with your voice that no one has ever heard before and use those in your a cappella, and you start painting with a rainbow of colors that no one has ever seen before. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It is actually. So, what advice would you give to someone that is starting in the world of a cappella music? Like, what skills do you think are crucial
It's great.
for
Okay,
success?
so number one, sing in every group you can. Doesn't matter if it's a cappella, but you will learn about your own voice. You'll learn about blending. You'll learn about tuning. You'll learn about your own strength, and you'll start to expand your range and expand what you can do and start to learn more about how to read music and things like this. It's not necessary to read music, but every new skill you learn makes things better. Then try to join some kind of an a cappella choir if anything like that exists, barbershop, any style, classical, doesn't matter. But then you start to learn how to sing without a net, I call it. You start to learn how to tune and not rely on keyboards and other instruments and just listen to the other people in your ensemble. At the same time, you have to make sure you build up your own interpersonal skills, because when you're in an a cappella group, everybody has to get along. The smaller the group, the more important those relationships are. And it doesn't work to be in a 5-person group if the 5 people don't get along. It's tough. And your music will not be as good. So you want to be a strong person and you want to be good at connecting and talking and working things out. But all the way, just keep singing in every show, every musical, every performance, every singing group you possibly can, and work on your own voice solo as well, different styles and everything. And then hopefully you'll start to be able to get into a group with only 2 on a part or 1 on a part. And then you'll start to really see how the mechanics of a cappella works, because it's all you on your part. Nobody else is doing it. And there's no instruments to tune to. It's challenging, but it's so satisfying.
Well, thank you so much for all of these advices. Also, talking about skills, we want to know a little bit about knowledge. So, for you, what is the importance of learning formal music education for a cappella singers?
Okay, mostly it helps. A little bit it hurts, but you have to get past it. I went to a conservatory and they teach you things and they teach you notes and rhythms and all of this, and that's very important. But they don't teach you the most important thing about music, which is emotion, right? It's good to know the notes. It's good to know the rhythms. It's good to know your voice. It's good to know the history. It's good to know technique and theory and all of this. It makes you a better musician. But all of that is like teaching you how to read and write and spell and It tells you how to be a good author when it comes to the technical aspects of writing, but they don't tell you how to tell the story. They don't tell you how to come up with creative ideas. That you have to do on your own. And in fact, after you go to conservatory, people who have been in conservatory and studied formal music education usually get too caught up in their head about all the technical aspects, and they forget that the audience doesn't actually care if it's perfect. They care if they feel something. That is the heart of music. And I think this is more a problem in Northern Europe and parts of America, in North America, and less a problem in music in Latin America and in Africa. I think there's more fire and more passion and more emotion fundamentally in the music, as its character, which I think is very satisfying. So it depends where I am in the world. Usually, when I find myself, the further north I am, the more I have to focus on emotion and the less I have to focus on technique. And then the further south I go, the more I end up having not to worry about emotion and having to make sure that the technical aspects are precise. Human nature. What can I tell you? Something about the snow. I don't know. I don't understand.
No, that is amazing because you actually have to think outside the box for you to give emotion to people. Because you can see very, very pretty, but if you don't give anything to the public,
Yeah, true.
it's gonna be boring. So you have to be outside the box and enjoy it. Enjoy what you do.
And you see the difference. You see the difference when a person is singing with
Yeah.
emotions and when a person is singing just because he
A
or
thousand
she has to sing. You can
1,000%.
feel it.
My favorite music in the
Yeah.
entire world is Brazilian. I listen to bossa nova all of the time. I feel like Brazil is like the perfect combination of everything. And even though I don't speak Portuguese, I mean I understand coração, it's some of the words, but most of the time it doesn't even matter because the feeling is strong and nuanced and the music is so rich and the harmonies are so rich, but also the rhythms are so complicated. And for me, it's the perfect combination of elements. It's incredible.
So I think we've talked about many things. We've talked about part of your career. We've talked about pitch perfect movies and many more. And we want to know something very that is happening. That is happening now. It happened a few years ago. Tell us about your book because we know you
Oh,
write
yes.
books, right? And yeah, we would like to know more about it. Tell us about the new book that we know
Sure.
that you are launching and what inspired you to write
Okay,
this
so
new book.
the first book I wrote is a cappella arranging. And this book changed a cappella because before so many people were just taking other people's arrangements or they had to kind of figure out how to arrange on their own. And I wanted to teach people. I wanted people to be able to learn how to arrange for their group because the best arrangement is one done by someone in the group or very close to the group, like a custom tailored suit, like everything fits perfectly, right? Not like this, but just exactly right. So during COVID, I've already written 6 books, but during COVID, I have all this time at home, and I'm like, well, maybe I should write another book. I said, no, no more books. I was like, I'm done with books. But then I was like, and I talked to the publisher, and they said, your first book is the best-selling book you have. We've done many reprints. It's used in music schools around the world. It's been translated into Chinese and Korean. What if you did a follow-up book? So not just expanding that book, but actually writing a whole second version of it. So that's where we get a cappella arranging 2.0. And this book is even bigger than the first book. In fact, I don't know if you can see as I flip through it, but there are many, many music examples all the way through the book. Yes, yes, yes. And this book is for experienced arrangers. Nothing like this has ever been written for a cappella. And it is basically, if you already arrange, you probably feel kind of alone because there are not many people who do what you do. So this book is like, hi, you're not alone. Here's how you work with complicated chords. Here's how you take an arrangement that you've done that has this many voices and change it into these different voices. Here's how you take an arrangement that works live and change it and expand it for the studio. Here's how you create mashups like in the Pitch Perfect movies. And here's how you arrange like all of these other great groups. This is how they arranged and how it's a little different from how you arrange. So it just, everything that's in it is different from all the stuff in the first book. So if you've read that and you've arranged, then it's just, you put the two together and it's a lot of pages. And hopefully the whole point, like I said, is about emotion, but arrangements are necessary in a cappella so people can know who's singing what notes. And I wanted with my co-author Dylan Bell to really make sure that we helped expand the a cappella world and the knowledge that's out there.
Very amazing everything that you're telling us. I mean, these books are pure gold. And also because of that, can you give us like a little bite or a little tip that we can find inside the new book?
Oh, well, it's all pretty complicated. Um, of course, we always say the emotion is the most important part, but I do tell some stories in there, like when Disney asked me to take three different songs that are very different, totally different tempos and styles and keys and everything, and to mash them up together. Or another time, totally different songs, mash them up together with a fourth song written by the artist Brandy for this princess situation. So I basically take people on the journey of how I started to figure out, because normally, and in the Pitch Perfect movies, when you're mashing up songs, you have to take songs that are similar, or you have a lot of one song and little tidbits of the other. And I was like, how am I going to make this happen? So it's basically put people inside my mind through this whole path and show them all of the ways and the choices that were made to get to the final version. And this book has also online on our website, which is Acapella Arranging, it has hundreds of links to all of the different groups that we talk about and all of the different recordings and all the different sheet music we have, so people can go and see the full versions of everything, because we have lots of excerpts in this book, but not the whole arrangement. For, I don't know, probably 200 different arrangements in the book are discussed.
Oh my gosh, I love this podcast. And I'm totally sure all of the acapella lovers, the aca lovers, will definitely love this podcast too, because there are a lot of tips, and I mean your experience is amazing. It's just amazing. We want to take this time to also thank Café Unido, because this episode is brought to you by Café Unido, an international specialty coffee shop that offers the best coffee in the world. It has 9 branches, 7 in Panama City, 1 in Boquete, Chiriquí, one of the provinces, and 1 in Washington, D.C. Their coffee shops have an ample spaces and rooms for co-working and meeting as well. Who doesn't love it?
I mean, when you come to Panama, you have to come here and we can have a little gather and drink some coffee, and you are welcome
Absolutely.
here.
We'll bring together the whole a cappella community and we'll have a big sit down and long discussion with lots of caffeine. I love it.
And I want to do something that it's actually in your book, I guess. Like, what main message do you hope readers will take away from your
Well,
book?
the main message is that all of this complicated technique and all of these things are always in service of the experience of connecting the singers and the audience. That's what matters. The notes on the page are not music, they're like a roadmap. So I'm trying to help the arrangers create better and better roadmaps, but I never want them to think that the arrangement is the point. It's not the point. It's in a way, it's very selfless, because you're taking the time to create something that is for other people, unless you're in the group, and helps them create this connection. That's the main point of all music. But it's always it's humbling for us as arrangers to remember that most people in the world don't even know what an arrangement is. Most people will never know that you arranged a piece of music. And the best success you can ever have as an arranger is for the audience to be jumping on their feet and clapping and loving the group, and never even thinking about the notes and the rhythms. Because if they're thinking about the notes and the rhythms, they're thinking about the choices you made, it's not a great arrangement. You've been drawing attention to yourself and not focusing it on the group and making it seem effortless and wonderful and beautiful and emotional. So it's a bit of a tough message for people to take, but I think for true arrangers who really want to make great experiences for their groups and the audiences, they have to do that and get out of the way.
Oh, you're totally right. And speaking about the arrangements, we want to
Mhm.
know for whom this book is intended for. For a cappella singers, for choir directors, or for a
Everyone.
broader audience. Everyone.
Everyone. In fact, I think this book would be very valuable for lots of directors of vocal harmony groups who don't necessarily do a cappella, but they have a lot of voices. And I've had my arrangements um, kind of transcribed and translated for saxophone quartets and string quartets. I've done 4-part arrangements, and they get turned into arrangements for instruments. So there may be some really valuable lessons for anybody who ends up making musical choices or directing different kinds of groups. But obviously, the core of it is for singers and for directors and for arrangers who do vocal harmony of any kind.
It's interesting because when you do something that you love, you don't find it as a job, even though it's a job. You don't find it as like that because it's your hobby,
Yep.
it's your passion, and yeah, totally. And how have your personal and professional experience influenced the creation of this?
I think the whole book is nothing but my personal experiences and influences. In fact, it's impossible for me to even know how. How do I describe this? Sometimes I like to use cooking as an analogy for arranging, because it's similar. You take existing ingredients and you put them together in a way that makes them better and that people will enjoy. And it's part art and part craft, right? You're doing something that's creative, but you're also doing something that's functional. So um, imagine, think about how you cook eggs. What kind of pan do you use? How long is it on the heat? How much heat? Some of these things you saw in a YouTube video. Some of them you learned from your mother or your grandfather. Some of them you learned on your own from experiencing it. Some of it is trial and error. Some of it changes based upon the time of day or how much you're in a hurry or whatever. And you don't even know what these influences are. You just know this is how you scramble eggs.
You're mixing them
I
all.
scramble mine at home. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm making you hungry. I understand. But it's kind of like that. So I couldn't even begin to tell you what my influences are. But I'm very cautious and I try to learn from everything, not just music, but theater and visual art and dance and museums and history, and take all of the information in the world and help me better understand the artistic process and the human voice and performing.
Amazing. Now that we're mixing cooking with arrangements, I want to tell you that your arrangements are delicious chef's kiss for you. Totally.
Thank you. I should put my chef's hat on and say thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yes, yes, yes.
Also, we
Bon
want to know
appetit. That's what you say. Bon appetit.
bon appetit. Or in Spanish, if you want to know a little bit, you can
Yeah.
say buen provecho.
Buen provecho.
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 Okay.
Ajá.
Buen provecho. Okay.
Ajá.
I live in
Eso.
California, so most of the Spanish we have here is very kind of Mexican influence, and that sounds different. I've never heard that.
No. Oh.
How does the Mexican people say?
Like bueno appetito, or I don't know, something that sounds very kind of
Buen
like
apetito. Mhm.
Ah,
bueno.
bueno.
It's also bueno. Yeah,
Buena.
something like that. Yeah.
Well, talking about the book, we want to know in the book, do you share like an advice that you would have like for someone to tell you before you started everything?
Maybe not this book. This is like if you've seen the entire first season of a show and then you're jumping in the second season. Now, if you've done a lot of arranging, you can jump right to this book. But I think if you've never arranged or you're just starting out and you want some really basic techniques, I would go and read the first book first. Just like if you're going to stream a new series on Netflix, you start with season 1 and then you jump to season 2. And I know this second book won't sell as many copies as the first book, but that's okay. It's just like the second season doesn't have as many people watch it as the first season. It's normal. It's okay. But it's also not that common for people who are really experienced to have books for them to get knowledge and things like that. So that's what this book is aiming to do.
What is the number of the question that we are now?
I
Don't
think
worry,
we're
we're
on,
just talking about the advices that he had in the book, and
yes.
we're going for the 14th.
Okay. I mean, I got so immersed in the conversation that I just lost track of what the question
No
we were
worries.
going through. How do you balance your life, your professional life, especially considering the travel and
Yeah,
intensity of the work?
yeah. Okay, so that's a difficult question because when I was making the Pitch Perfect movies, I had to be away from home for 2.5 months, and I was doing the Sing Off TV show. The long season, I was gone for a couple months. I was very careful when I toured with the House Jacks that we would just be gone for the weekend, or if we went internationally for just 2 weeks plus the weekend. Like I kept everything limited to try to be a good father and a good family man, but it still affected them. It's difficult, and when you choose a career that involves you traveling, and I still travel, and I still have kids at home. I wake up, sometimes I have to wake up at 4 a.m. to get a flight out to work the same day, or I come home after I'm working and I'm not home until 1 or 2 a.m. It's okay. My promise to my family is to be home as much as I possibly can. I'm only away when I'm doing work that I really need to do, and I'm getting paid, or it's a very important project. Like I don't just go to conventions like, oh, it's nice to see you, because that's my commitment to my family, and my family is first, and my work has to come second. And it is definitely challenging, and I know that there were things that I had to miss, and that there's sadness and heartache at times, but hopefully the love I have for my family and the times that I spend with them when I am home help to balance it some. But everything you do in life will be a combination of choices and balances, and it's difficult.
Well, talking about life, we also want to know what motivates you to continue working and creating in the world of a cappella after so many years.
I feel like I have some skills that make people's lives better. Helps them sing better, helps them enjoy their music more, helps them connect with the audience better, and it helps the audience have a better time. And my life's work is really to spread harmony through harmony. I truly believe that our society, our world is torn apart. Too many people staring at screens, too many people thinking the biggest problem in the world is these other people. Usually it's not that. Usually the problems that we have can be solved by us coming together and understanding more and respecting each other. We don't have enough of this in our world. We don't have enough of this in our media. And a cappella and singing together is one of the most powerful ways that we can stitch back together humanity, and to really save lives and inspire people to sing and to connect with their communities in person. And I know it sounds like, well, I'm an a cappella guy. Like, are you really saving lives? But I have stories of people that I've had sing with me on stage, and it has changed their life, and they were abused and they reconnected with society and went back to school after they found the joy from singing, or they lost their spouse and they hadn't felt joy for 6 months, and they came and saw a concert, and that sparked something inside of them, and they decided they're going to reconnect with society and they're going to join a singing group. These stories I hear every single week from people. We have that power in a cappella. It's not just fun and light, it also creates family and connection in society. That's what drives me, that's what gets me up, and that's why I keep getting on the road. Plus I still have to pay for my mortgage in my house. I have to eat. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so make the world a better place and eat. Those things. Yeah.
That's very inspiring, especially that you have to pay your mortgage and you're eating and all that. But yeah, so how do you feel about the global influence you've had on a cappella music? Did you expect to have this kind of impact when you
I
started?
wanted to. That was my goal. And in fact, it was never about me. I started companies and gave the companies away. The competition that's in the Pitch Perfect movies, the ICCA, I gave that away. The Best of College a cappella recordings, I gave that away. I started CASA and didn't make money from it. I just created a nonprofit to try to help build this community up. Much of what I've done has been for free. just to try to help build community. And still, and I'll do it right now, every time I'm on stage and I work with groups or I MC or conduct or whatever, I tell the audience, if you want to sing, or if you're singing and you need help with your group, or you want to learn how to arrange, or you want to start a new group or anything, contact me for free of charge. I will help you. I'm on all the social media, not TikTok, but the rest. And I'm always Deke Sharon, and my email is deke@dekesharon.com. And if you're listening to this now or 20 years in the future, if I'm still on this planet, I will help you for free. And so the fact that I've had an influence, whatever it is, it's not my job to assess that, but I am deeply, deeply honored. And that is my desire, to make the world a better place however I can. And I'm going to continue to do it for the rest of my days.
That is very amazing what you are sharing with us. Uh, we already know the answer probably, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
Okay.
Let's say you're a child again, okay? You're a little kid, you're running around your house.
Yep.
Would you choose again this career of a cappella?
Of course. Yes. It's the greatest. Now, did I do everything perfectly? No, but I did everything the best I could while with all the choices that I made. And so I can't have any regrets. I can't. It is, and I think the level of success that I had is much greater than I ever thought that it could be. I didn't think that I would be doing a musical on Broadway, that I would be doing a television show on 4 continents, that I would be the center of a reality show, that I would be making feature films that become a household name. Like, it's what I hoped, but not even, I mean, those dreams ended up being smaller than that. But I just kept going, and that's where it took me. And so, yes, I would absolutely do it again. And I know if I did it again, it wouldn't necessarily be as big as it all worked out this time, because luck is a big part of it. But I don't care. Before all of that happened, I looked at my life and I said, I'm performing, I'm touring, I'm arranging, I'm working with students, I'm making the world a better place, I'm living my dream. This is what I wanted to do. And then everything just went. So, yes, I would do it. If I had 100 lifetimes, I would choose this 100 times.
That's very inspiring. It makes us, you teach us how to persevere, to reach our goals, to reach our dreams. If we stumble and if we fall, we have to keep up with our dream so that one day we can, fulfill it. Like the law of attraction. Whatever we do, we attract. So I think this is actually maybe the last question. Like, what do you hope to leave as legacy in the world of Guatemalan music? Like, what message would you like people to remember about your work?
Well, I'll be honest, it's not about me. And I think that, and I hope that the impact of my work is far greater than people knowing my name. Like, it's nice when people know my name and recognize me, or say like I did these things. That's beautiful. But many, many more people, I think, have been impacted, hopefully, from the work that I've done and the ways in which their lives are better. I hope the legacy of my work is that more people sing. A cappella, yes, it's my favorite, but singing at all. Like, we used to sing, every human used to sing, like birds and crickets and whales. They sang before human speech. They sang, they connected, and it was a part of human culture in the early days. At the end of the harvest, at the end of the hunt, you gather around the fire and you sing together. And we've lost that since recorded music came along. And now people think they're tone deaf, and they're not tone deaf. They think they can't sing. They can sing. They just don't do it all the time, so they're not as good. And if you can talk, if you can speak, you can sing. And that's the most important thing, for people to remember that there is a voice in all of us, and use it. Your life will be better.
Now you said something about the music that it's happening now. I have like one extra question.
Of course.
What do you think about technology? Like, how does the technology has influenced this a cappella?
Technology has definitely influenced a cappella. The increased use of digital recording and digital tuning devices and things like that have made it possible for high schoolers to make a recording that sounded better than a pro group just 20 years ago. It's not a bad thing in and of itself. It allows amateurs to create art at a higher level than they otherwise would be able to. And it's really transformed, I think, the entire aspect of recording as well. When I was in high school or college, if you wanted to make an album, you all had to spend what would be now almost like $1,000 an hour to go into a studio, stand around some microphones and sing it. And it better be pretty close to perfect because there was no tuning, whatever. You just balance the voices and that was your album. Now, the way it works is people get on their laptop, they put a microphone up and each person sings alone and you can tune each part and balance it and sing it as many times as you want. And it really changes the nature of recording and it changes the nature of what's going on. And there are ways in which it's changed live music as well, but it's really the recorded music that I think has been fundamentally changed. And it's all for the good, you know? There's more Photoshop and more digital effects on the covers of magazines and in movies, there's more CGI. It doesn't mean that the movies are better. In fact, there are some movies from the 1970s that were much more about story that I think are better on balance than the average movie now. But there's also some stuff people can do with movies now. And when you use CGI the right way, it can be stunning. So we can't get too mad at technology. We just have to accept that we live in a different world. And now the stories that we tell and the way we share emotion needs to be respecting and appreciating and using the technology, but always for that emotion. And the last thought I'll leave you with is make sure you don't use it too much. Can you imagine if they went back and they tuned all of those old Motown recordings or Aretha Franklin? It would be terrible. The imperfections are the humanity. And it's hard for amateur singers and young singers and young professionals to trust and believe that what we really long for as humans is the humanity rather than the perfection. But that is absolutely the case. And I think some of the greatest albums ever recorded, most of them, in fact, have flaws in them. And that's a beautiful thing. And we should always allow that to be a part of music in general.
That's amazing. What do you think, Brent?
I mean, I think it's the truth. Like, not everything has to be perfect. Art is something that you have to enjoy. Art is something that it has to be outside of the box. Art is something that you need to share your soul. So I think it's very beautiful, everything that you're sharing with us, because it's the truth. In everything in our life, we don't have to be perfect. We just have to enjoy it.
Yes, that's right.
Imperfections are part of human life. And if we try to pretend being perfect, it's impossible because we are imperfect beings, and that is what
That's
makes us
right.
perfect. And we have a surprise. I didn't mention it to you before we ended
Sure.
this podcast. We have a game.
Perfect. Let's go. I love games.
So we have a question over here that our friend Luis made us. He's actually here. He's
Okay.
in the background. He says hi. We don't know what
Okay.
question is in here. So now we're going to open it. It's like an egg. It's actually it seems like an Easter egg or something.
An Easter egg. Okay, yeah. It looks like it's just like it's Easter, like it's a blue egg you have to crack open.
Oh yeah. So let's crack it. I am, cracking it. Now we got the egg.
Okay.
We have a question inside that we are going
Okay,
to
all of
ask.
my favorite questions come from
And-
inside blue eggs, just so you know. So I'm already very impressed with these. Very good.
Each one of us should talk about a funny scenario that you have had in a performance.
Okay, go. You go first, and then I will tell a story that is crazy. Okay, you go.
Do you want to go?
I
Or?
guess sorry. The thing that happened here is that so I'm gonna start with mine. Almost every time that I'm about to sing on stage, my mind goes blank and I forgot the lyrics. We are in a Christmas a choral group. We sing in a choir, and I
Yep.
remember that one time in the performance I forgot one of the verses. So what I did is that I sang the same verse 2 times, but I continued like smiling and singing like nothing happened because
Nobody
my
knew.
mind
No,
was.
I'll bet you nobody knew. Nobody had any idea. Nobody could tell. Yeah.
That's mine.
That's funny.
I have had some of those experiences as well, but this one wasn't by myself. It happened to a girl that was with me in one of the in a contest. It's a K-pop contest, Korean contest that they do over here in Panama. Their movement is very pronounced in the country. So I decided to participate in one of these contests. And one of the girls that was singing, she was very nervous and she got hiccup. So every time when she was singing, she was like, and it was, I felt, probably she felt embarrassed. I don't know, but it was cute because she was short and the way she was singing and the way she was like, it makes everybody just laugh, and it was so fun.
That is hilarious.
That was one of my experiences.
That's amazing.
Now it's your turn.
Okay, my story takes a second to tell, and it's going to go places you don't expect. One time when I was going through passport control in Germany, the person looked at my passport and noticed that the last page was torn out. And the German said, "This is not good. Where is the last page of your passport? You cannot go into Germany if you do not have the last page of your passport. What has happened?" So I thought, when you fly all night, you're like tired. And I didn't care. So I said, okay, I'm going to tell you the true story. A couple years ago, I was doing a concert in Italy, and we showed up for the sound check, but no one was there to let us in. Then everybody came late, and they started to scramble and get everything ready, but there was no audience there because I guess everything happens late in southern Italy. So I asked them, like, is there a bathroom here? And they said, no, there's no bathroom, but there are some like porta potties way over there. So I said, okay, I'm going to go use it and come back. So I went out to the porta potty and I started to use it. And then the person on stage started to announce our group, like it was time to go on stage. I was like, wait, I just told you that I can't, and I'm here now. So I'm in there and I realize there's no toilet paper at all. And I don't have very much with me. I have my stage clothes and I have my passport. So I tore out the last page of my passport, used it, and ran to get on stage. And so I said this to the German agent, like very tired, and he looked at me and he said, "This is the best story I have ever heard. You may go." And yeah, so just so you know, this is a little bit of what my life is like. It's crazy, and you have to make use of whatever you have with you.
I think you can actually add this part of your life story in a movie.
Yes, I think that does actually work as a movie scene. I think you're correct.
You know something? This reminds me to one of this, the second part of Pitch
Yep.
Perfect in the beginning of the movie, where
Yep.
what is the
Yep.
name of the Fat Amy? I think that's her name, Fat Amy. She was like in the rocking ball with Miley Cyrus on, and all of a sudden she
Yep.
makes a movement and her pants get like.
Yep. She rehearsed that from some scarves on the ceiling, like coming down right outside the music room where we were rehearsing all the music for Pitch Perfect 2. So it was pretty funny to watch her like spinning and upside down, and yeah, crazy. The whole thing was crazy. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge with us. We're going to share it with everyone. Thank you so much for your time. We will wait for you here in Panama also. We have that coffee that we have to drink and we have to sing and all of that and have fun.
I love it. I love it. I wish you both the best. Thank you for such wonderful questions and wonderful energy. I look very much to being together in person and making some wonderful music together. Until then, for you two and for everyone who's listening to this, I'm very happy to be a part of the a cappella family with you all. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please reach out anytime. Have a wonderful, fantastic day and month and year and forever.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time, your dedication, and we are really grateful for you being part of Latin America and for accepting to be part of this podcast today. Your Instagram is Deke Sharon. Our social media is Vocal Latin America as well. You can follow us in our TikTok, Instagram, and also YouTube channel. And you can check our website, which is vocalatinamerica.com. Take a look, and if you need something, you can reach out to me, and you can reach out to us.
Yeah.
I guess it's the ending of this podcast.
See you on the next one.
See you on the next time. Bye bye.